So welcome, welcome, welcome everybody. Yay! So we're here today in December of 2023 for the very last Griot of 2023. And we are so blessed and so honored to have Yyanna Leigh Michaels with us, who is just dynamic in every sense of the word as a performing artist, a singer, a writer, just on top of the world with her skill set. And so we're blessed and we're honored to have her in our presence today to share with us the joys of writing. Let's welcome her.
Woo! So what I want you to do first, I want you all to stand up. Just stand up. And I just want you to loosen up a little bit because, just breathe. Let's all get used to each other and just relax. And we're going to have a good time today. So the first thing I want you to do is just shake your hands out. Just shake them around. Get loosened up. Free yourself. Now, shake that foot. Shake the other foot. Can you shake it all together? Just loosen up. Just loosen up. Have a good time now. Just reach all the way up. Oh, just reach to the sky. Give thanks and gratitude for this day. Oh, and just drop all the way down to the ground. Let it all go. Here, I just want you to hug yourself and just side to side. Loosen up the spine. Let it all go. Free, calm. Love yourself. And slowly come up. Slowly come up. And then I want to take your arms up over your head, down, one more time, and up, hands together in prayer. Come all the way down to the center. Namaste. All right. Now that you loosen up, feel free, kind of know each other for a little bit of stretching. So, what I wanted to do today is so you can understand how I started one portion of my life. We're going to do a little exercise. It's a storytelling exercise. And I want to ask you to come in just a little bit, dear. So what this is, so you get the basic understanding, it's just to get you involved in how sometimes you can develop a story. Anybody, give me a topic. Give me a theme. Give me something. Anybody, just shout out something. Anything, yep.
Love.
Love, okay, love. We're going to start out this story. I'm going to give you an example. First, I would say, my name is Shauna, and I love
mashed potatoes.
And you'll keep it going all the way around until we have developed a short story. So, topic is love. I'm going to have you start.
Okay.
You can start once upon a time or however you want to start.
Okay, so once upon a time, there was a...
There was a person trying to find a microphone. Here it is.
Next. You just add on to it.
I was a little girl with beautiful wings flying to the sky.
To see what the world will look like from above.
So, I jumped off a bridge.
And I floated in the air with such a beautiful trip.
And each time I reached up, I thank God, thank everyone that I released everything that I am not aware of.
And she was happy and she was well. The end. Thank you for that presentation, for that brief icebreaker for all of us just to relax and release and enjoy this little segment with me. And you can take a seat now. So that's pretty much how I started writing. Back, there was a 13-year-old and a 17-year-old girls. They were cousins. And the one way that we dealt with the situations in our life, the trauma that we were going through as we were growing up, because at the time we had a hard time expressing ourselves. A lot of children had a hard time expressing themselves. So I remember every summer I used to go to PA. And I would be with my cousins, my cousin Leigh and her sister Ruth Ann. And every night we would get together. And our way of dealing with the situations that we were dealing with at home was to tell a story. So we would come together in our PJs and our hot chocolate, sitting at my Aunt Sis's home, and we would sit in front of the window. My Aunt Sis had this beautiful L-shaped couch, and we all used to just pile up on top. And my cousin being 17, of course, she has to start the story out. But I was grateful because I looked up to her. She was like my idol. I wanted to be Leigh when I got older. So she would always say, okay, once upon a time. And she'll just spat out this story. And she would go on with just the beginning of that story for maybe about 15, 20 minutes. She was an excellent storyteller. And then when it seemed like she ran out of words, she said, and she would look at me. The first time I was like, what? What? You're telling the story. It was so good. She's like, well, I don't know what else to say. So I'm like, okay. Then I'll jump in with my version, adding on to her story. And we got so good at this, to the point that we weren't just speaking it anymore. We got this little, those black and white composition folders that you'll get at the store for like 50 cents. That's all we had. So we get those little composition folders and she will take it and then she'll start the story out. And she'll write that story. And she'll almost write a full book of her version of the story. It could be 1 chapter, 2 chapters, 3. Then next day, she goes, I got my book, I got my chapters. And then I would go run down the hill, because she was right down the hill from my Aunt Bunch. Run down the hill, I'll go get the book. And I'm like, okay, what did she write? And I was so excited, and I would read that story. So, ooh, okay. I get to the last chapter, and it's done. I'm like, what? What's the rest of it? I wanted to know more. She was that good. So I'm like, shoot, I gotta add my version into it. So I get my little pencil, and I start writing in the book. And that's how it continued. I wrote my chapter or chapters. I give it to her. The next day she'll have her chapters and she'll hand it to me. And we went back and forth. That went on for quite a while. And then we became the fangirls of Albie Shore and Christopher Williams. That started a whole new thing, not realizing that story that we developed between us about these two men that knew nothing about these young girls will be pretty much lead me to here. Because we started out that story and it was about a story of love, what we felt love meant to us, which is very good because our topic recently in our sister circle is what? The heart chakra. Love. And during that time, we had a difficult time of understanding love. because we didn't feel like we were getting it in the places that we were at that time. So we developed what our mind had wanted love to be. So we started our little story. Of course, my cousin Leigh, she would begin it, and then it would come to me. To the point it almost felt like real life. And we became so, like, to read. We were readers, to read and be taken to another place. That was our way of coping. And with their storytelling, that was our way of coping. Which leads me to my 9th grade in high school. We was doing this book, and I was just doing it. And I was mailing to my cousin. She was mailing it back to me. And I had it in school one day. I was in Hampton High School. And my best friend at the time, Deidre D, she's like, "What are you writing?" I said, "Here." I gave it to her. She came back the next day, "Girl, where's the rest of this book? I need to know more." And that's how me and my cousin has started writing stories for people in school. I gave it to my friend D. Another girl said, "But what are you reading? So why are you so engrossed in that book?" And she's like, "Here, read this book." And it went from one person to the next person to the next person. Until people was coming to me saying, "Are you writing something else? Is it something else you're gonna write? Where's the rest of it?" I'm like, "Well, wasn't for you. This is for me and my cousin so we could deal with our own traumas in our life." But I didn't express it like that. It was just something that I couldn't understand, but why everybody else is so interested in our story. So more and more people started reading. It was mainly girls. You know, the boys, they don't care. Until a teacher got it. So that was another story. The teacher got it, I was already in Virginia Beach, so. But even still, when Deidre told me, she said, "Oh, the teacher got it," and she was reading it, and she was wondering where you're at. Me, I'm thinking, "Oh Lord, why does the teacher want to talk to me?" Not truly understanding later when I saw Dee, she said she wanted to know because she wanted to see if you were right to enter into something. But I was so afraid because I wasn't planning, I wasn't trying to have what I was writing to be out there. It was my therapy. That was my cousin's therapy at that time. I wasn't thinking about writing like that. Not until I started, I was a very avid reader. I read to escape. Read to escape what's going on at the house. I should not be there, and I read a lot. A whole lot. There's probably books, I probably read like between 5 to 6 books in 1 week. So, and I realized when I started reading those books, and then I got a hold of my mama's books, and that was a whole other story. It was like, ooh, these are romance books. Wow, these are good. How can I be an author? It was just a thought. I didn't know how I was going to be there, but it was just a thought. How can I be an author? What does it take to get this type of book out? Because already my friends are reading it. So how can I get my stuff seen? But I was 16 at that time. You don't really think. I'm like, that's probably not for me because I don't know how to get it done. Who am I going to send it to? So later on, as I'm writing, I had another friend named Erica. So my writing turned into, which is so funny because it never was a deal. I started writing scripts, skits, for like, I guess we call them podcasts now. I don't know what we called it back then in the 90s, but we would write these scripts and we used to put them on tapes. And we would do these things like, they were comedy. And we would put all these little different skits and comedies on these tapes. And not knowing what I was being prepared for now, I didn't understand why we was handing these tapes out to the people in the school, and they listening to these tapes and like, oh, what's the second episode? Where's the third? And I didn't realize I was developing then my own skits, my own podcast, I guess, where I radio cast things, and people were interested in it, and we were making episodes. This was my 10th grade year. We were making episodes, and they wanted more episodes until me and my friend fell out, and that ended that. But as I look back, I'm like, wow, I've been doing a whole lot, and I just never realized how much I was doing. Then, switch over to Salem High School, Virginia Beach, Virginia. I wasn't writing as much. It was kind of a hard year. I didn't write for other people, I wrote for myself to deal. So that meant a lot of poetry, a lot of painful poetry, and maybe a lot of, my son said I needed help. That was his thing. He said, Mom, reading some of this, it looks like you needed help. So I was trying to get all those emotions out. And the only way I can get those emotions out, because I wasn't in theater then, was in the way I was writing. I was writing to free myself, to feel, just to feel. And then 12th grade year, I met a teacher, my AP English teacher, and that was literature. And I was reading something, we was actually reading Hamlet. And in Hamlet, I was Ophelia. And we were just natural, just reading it in the class. Everyone else, you know how kids are. Oh, hark. What yonder windows bring? I know that's Romeo and Juliet, but you get it. But the kids were just not, they were haphazardly reading it, not really putting the feeling in. Then when I get to Ophelia and I was just reading it, I don't know why, I just read it the way I felt like it should have been read. And the teacher stopped me after I was leaving the class. She said, are you in theater? I'm like, no. She said, I need you to read something for me. So she pulled me over. I'm like, man, what did I do this time? Pulled me over and she had me read a whole script. And she came to me, she's like, after I was done, she said, I really think you need to go into do the drama with the kids. I'm like, that's not for me. That's not for me, because I grew up in a family, it wasn't about theater, even though it was showmanship. But my family was a gospel group. They sung all over. That's all I knew was singing. That's all I thought I was supposed to do, was just sing with my family, sing and nothing else. So she kind of put that little seed in my head. Maybe I need to try something else. But I put that aside, because singing was still on my mind. Then I went to college, and I still had singing on my mind, and I ran across this young woman named Yyanna. And she came up to me, quite similar to how you did it. Do you sing? I'm like, yeah. Well, girl, I got a group. And she did. And that's how we started singing. And I was singing, I knew this was it. I'm going to be a singer. I'm going to be on top. This is what I thought I wanted to do. In my head, I could see myself on stage. I could see myself singing with the lights and doing what I love. Not realizing that wasn't a path that I was being shown in my visions. Because further down the road, in 2001, I got struck by a truck. I was hit. He ran right through me. It was pedestrian. Took me out. The police report said 75 feet away from the actual impact spot. Crushed my leg. Was in a coma for a little bit. They told me I would never dance again. Me, never dance again. That was no thought in my mind, because all all performing arts together. That's who I was, singing, dancing. I took dance lessons all my life. So for them to tell me you will never dance again, I was like, whoa, that's a lie. So after 8 months of hard physical therapy, of learning how to walk again, I decided to go back to school because, of course, when I first went to school, my parents wanted me to do what they wanted me to do, which was business administration, computers, operations, and that's where I'm supposed to have my life. But no, that's not what I wanted to do. I was good at it, okay. I was good. The businesses kept me where I can help them fix their computers, I can help them do their business, but that's not where I was happy at. So I went back to school, and I said, I'm going to take this elective. And that elective happened to be acting 1. And I went to that class. It was at night. I hate driving at night, but I did it. I went in and I had such a ball. And then went to acting 2 and then acting 3. Then I met Marnie, who was my Shakespeare teacher. And she said, you can do a lot more. I was like, really? And that's probably the first time I really started believing in myself. Really, just a little bit more. And Marnie Brennan, English lady from England, little short thing, she pretty much started to teach me and mentor me. And she had me in her shows, starting out with Shakespeare. Me doing Shakespeare. So that's where I went. Then I jumped in and said, oh, there's musical theater. I love musical theater. I love Sound of Music. That's what I used to have my brothers and sisters do. And I had them sit in front of me, and I was Julia Roberts. And I said, no, Julia Roberts, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. But I sat in front of my brothers and sisters, and we used to have a chorus. Let's start at the very beginning. And we go, do a deer, a female deer. My brother looked at me, up, ray, a tropic on the sun. Chrissy's like, me, your name. And it was like, I remember those days. We loved those movies. We loved Little Shop of Horrors, Sound of Music, all those that had music in it. We watched them all. So now I'm in musical theater, and I meet one of my teachers, and she is a beautiful vocalist. And now I'm doing these shows on stage with music. And when the school found out I can do not just the music, but even the acting, they started employing me to do other stuff at the school, that's how I got into Hack Theater Works, which is the college theater. And from there, I was Sojourner Truth. And then I was Other. I was Lorna from the Song of Survival. And I did so many other productions. And that led me to the Oyster Mill Playhouse. And I was just there. They asked me to do the show. But I really wasn't a big part until one of the leads, she froze. She couldn't do the show. She couldn't do the rehearsals. In rehearsals, it was this fear that she had. And they needed to hurry up to fill that spot because we had a show in 3 weeks. And they were like, you, just get in there and do this. I'm like, okay. And then I knew the song, and I started singing along with the script. I had already memorized the script because I was already doing this rehearsal for 2 months. And then in 3 weeks, I learned that whole show. When they found out I could actually sing, that brought in the Scout. The Scout came in from Capitol Dinner Theater. Capitol Dinner Theater was pretty much, it was pretty big in Harrisburg, PA. They did a lot of the major shows there. And I got the attention of Sharon Hilligus, and Sharon Hilligus was also part of My Share Productions. And My Share, they would collect us in their group, and they would send us out to auditions. Auditions for movies, auditions for shows, auditions for commercials. And I'm like, oh my gosh, did I make it? Am I here? Not quite yet, but still in my head, it was like, oh my goodness, things are turning. Because now I'm on stage and I'm doing Copacabana, I'm doing Dreamgirls, because being the only black girl pretty much in that section, they were ecstatic because now they can do all these other shows that they didn't normally do. So like, yes, we can put joy in those spots. Even led to me being Hawaiian. Don't even ask that question, but yes. but it got me seen. Of course, it was ethnically, I did all the ethnic roles, but it got me singing. I was okay. That's fine. So from there, as I was with My Share, I did a couple of movies. I got involved with My Share Entertainment, My Share Productions, and that had me traveling. Traveled to Nevada, in Vegas. I was doing shows out there for a while. Good shows. I was enjoying the life that I was living, but I haven't been writing yet. Still haven't been writing because now I have taken that path down the theater route. And I went back, started going back to dance classes because they told me I couldn't dance again, but guess what? Yes, I could. I got stronger, a lot faster than they thought I could. And I went back, and in that theater that I was in, that company I was in, not truly understanding, but I'm very grateful now, I got the training that I needed. I got the training, the dance training, circus training, fight combat training, all that. My body began to heal, and I was back to dancing, back to tap dancing, ballet, contemporary dance. So I went back to school and I was like, okay, so it's not just theater, maybe it's something else that I can add on to this. So it wasn't just theater anymore, it was performing arts. So I'm back in school for performing arts. Now I know all the teachers. I mean, I have done shows for all my teachers. They are putting me in shows, and we are friends because I'm a little older now, so that means my teacher may be just about 10 years older than me. But we were having such a good time, and I was enjoying my life at that time. So now that I'm back in school, I'm doing traveling shows, I'm enjoying the life that I'm in. I graduate. What am I going to do now? I'm not with my teachers. I started taking extra classes to try to keep in, like director's class, going to directors. I was took writing classes, speech classes. My teacher was like, okay, it's time for you to go. You can't stay here. What are you afraid of? Go. But I was so used to them, and they were my friends, and they knew me, and they knew my talent. I still was too afraid to do anything outside. So I'm like, man, now school's over, because now they kicked me out. I had too many credits. Kicked me out, and I started taking Penn State classes just to keep myself going. And that's when I ran into Dr. Dorothy King, Penn Owl Productions. She is an amazing playwright. She wrote over 60 plays for Penn State University. And I've been in her plays since 2000 until last year was my last time. She tried to get me this year, I'm like, I'm not coming. So I've been with her for a while. So I've been doing shows for Penn State University, all of the universities for Penn State. So when we did them for one, we did them for them all. And Dorothy King was something special because she did plays for Dr. King. These were black plays for us. And she wrote She wrote them. They weren't reused plays. This was her own mind. She wrote the music. She did the choreography. She did all of it. Miss Ricky was in one of them. So now I'm in another portion of my life. Now I'm at Penn Owl Productions. And they have now employed me as their actor. So I'm not only acting at Penn State for Penn Owl, I am now being employed at Penn State to do the case studies for psychology students. They would call us in. There were employees to come in. They give a scenario. We go into the classroom. We act out that scenario. And they have to give a diagnosis. They had to see what it's like to be a therapist. How would you talk to this person in this condition? I remember one specific one. I was a mother who had just murdered her kids. And I was in jail, about to go away for a very long time. And I had to come in as that woman. To the point, a couple of the students left. And they thought that I was actually that woman. I did that for 5 years. 5 years. And I kind of enjoyed that. It was a little extra money in my pocket. And I got to do a little bit of acting and to improve on my skills. But as time left, of course, I had to leave Penn State University, not Penn Owl, but Penn State. And I'm like, okay, now I need a job. What is this job? I'm doing Capitol Dinner Theater, I'm doing Penn Owl Productions, I'm doing some shows on the side for Hack Theater Works, and I'm doing some shows on the side for Oyster Mill, but I need something. And then there was this ad I saw, dancers needed. I was still young, sometimes you never know what those ads mean. I just saw a dancer, like, sure, step right on up. And I went and I answered that ad, and I walked in, and I was like, I don't know how to do this. Because I walked into Arthur Murray Dance Studios. And that's at the time when at the very beginning, where you had Dancing with the Stars. They needed more instructors because they were overloaded with people now wanting to learn how to ballroom dance. I'm like, this is not what I'm used to. I don't know none of this. But they said, well, we can train you. I said, okay. I'm a fast learner. I started training to become a ballroom instructor. I am now certified ballroom instructor, bronze and silver. I was working on my gold before I had my son. I was an instructor for, I would say, about 3 or 4 years. I competed. I did like 5, 6 competitions, some with my students, some with other teachers. And I had an experience of being in the beautiful ballroom gowns, going out to different places where they employ us to do shows and dance for them, and you're the main attraction. Still up my alley. I've been performing all my life, from my family, in the school, and now just for me. And then my son came right on in. I had to stop. I had to get a regular job. I had to get a regular job. I had to take care of my child. So where did all that energy go? I wasn't dancing anymore. I couldn't dance while I was pregnant. They would not allow that. Not Arthur Murray Dance Studios, no. I had to find another outlet. I couldn't do a lot of shows because that meant I had to do rehearsals. Although my son is a my share to Penn Owl baby. He understood. He still knows what it's like to strike a stage and set the stage, and he knows all that. But still, it wasn't what I was used to. Because I was in rehearsals all the time. That was my life. So I had to write again. That's getting all that emotion out. all that stuff and I started writing about the things that I went through. Okay, there's another story, and here's another story. And then I started revisiting those stories that me and my cousin Raylene wrote. So I'm like, call Raylene, hey, I got an idea for what we was writing about. She said, girl, that was back in high school. What do you mean? I'm like, but look, this could really be a thing. She said, okay, just show me what you got. So go to PA, because I wasn't in PA at that time. I go to PA and I sit down and I pull up all these notebooks. I had notebooks after notebooks from years of her and I writing that I held on to. I never got rid of it. She said, you kept one of those? I said, yes, I did. And let's go back and read it. And I said, we started reading these things and Lord have mercy, we were kids. You could tell the difference in the writing from then and now. I said, but we can work with this. We got the foundation. We got the base. So then let's fix it up a little bit. We're a little bit older now. She's 32 and I was 32 and I'm about 28 at that time. So we got this. So we started updating the stories. And I put it on the computer. And I started writing them. And I started typing and putting it all together and bringing it all together. And she was reading it, and her husband at the time was reading it. They were like, this is really good. And we were like, well, how are we going to get it out? We don't know no publisher. Every time we kind of did the research on how to get your books published, it costs money. I'm like, that's not going to happen, sis. Maybe it's not meant to be, but we just kept writing anyway for our enjoyment. Because we still hadn't healed from the stuff that we dealt with as we were kids. So it helped bring us through. So come 2014, I met a man named Nathan Gaston. Nathan Gaston, he is in PA a producer, a director. He did shows in New York. He did movies. And he was pretty much in the city. He had done a lot of different independent movies. And I auditioned for him for the first time. And I walked into that audition because I said, I'm going to get this role. I want the lead role. So I got up there and I had my song ready. He's like, this is not a musical. I was like, it's not a musical? He said, no, well, I need you to do a read. I said, man. He said, all right, whatever. Go ahead and sing. And I was like, really? He said, yeah, go ahead and sing. So I got up there in the middle and I was like, today's the day when all us cats can surely do our bid. You got to do a share. He's like, stop. You got the role. Really? I didn't do nothing else. You got the role. That's it. That's all right. I got something else I need you to do. I need you to do Shake Shop. But that's not this one. No, I need you to do Shake Shop. Shake Shop was one of the shows that he's been looking for someone to do music, act, and he couldn't find one that he trusted. So that's how I got part of his shows. Nate Gaston, was it Nate Gaston Productions or Wordmaster Productions? And we started doing show after show after show for Mr. Nate Gaston. And that put me on that path, not only just to get back into doing the shows again, but also he was employing me to do directing and now writing. So I started writing, and he started reading my work, which he said, you need to go talk to Rand Wise. Rand Wise was another director and producer in the city who did movies and shows. But this time, when I gave her my work, she's like, you need to talk to Snovia Alexandra in New York. I'm like, I don't know Snow. She said, that's all right, I got you. Snovia called me up from New York. She owns a company, Snow Publishing. Snow Publishing in New York. And she's like, give me your 3 chapters. Just give it to me. And you know how New Yorkers talk is real fast. And it mean they mean business. You gotta be on it. I had my 3 chapters ready. When she asked me for those 3 chapters, I sent it to her that day. And she called me that night, signed the contract. 2015, I became Snow Publishing's one of her authors. And my book, A Hint of Desire, was published in 2016. I had to sign a contract with her. I signed a 5-book deal at that time. Since then, I wrote 8 books. And she never had me sign another contract, but she will produce or publish any other book that I've done, because I was that loyal to her and my work stood for itself. Which leads to now, and this is how I became an author. And I look back throughout the years how all that came. Excuse me, I'm getting emotional. Because the one person who knew me, who started this out with me, she's no longer here. In 2019, she died of esophageal cancer. But she didn't die before I dedicated my first book, A Hint of Desire, to her and her husband. The husband died in 2018 before her, and she died right after. And my dedication to her is rest in heaven, Doug and Raylene. You supported and encouraged my desire to write. Raylene, there will always be Alex and Brian. Alex and Brian was Albie Shore and Christopher Williams, how we started out writing our books, which led to this book. And so this book is really like my baby, because this reminds me of what me and her put together and built together. So I just don't only write for me or for the enjoyment for everybody else. I still remember us as kids writing to get through the trauma and the things we dealt with. And I'm so grateful to her for being there to start giving me the courage to start who I'm supposed to be. Love you, Raylene. That's it. Oh my God.
Journey.
I'm sorry. That was, I miss her. I miss her every day. Every day. When I write, I think of her, because she gave me the courage to do that. But is there any questions? Anybody have any questions?
I am so proud of you. I am, because you are just amazing, and I know how amazing you are, but the average person doesn't know when you come in here and you sit behind that desk next to Invisible. So I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
job.
Thank you. Any other
I
questions?
have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So I only got this tail in, but I can tell that it was a lot, right? I hate that I missed the beginning of it. And I don't know if you mentioned this, but have you ever thought about doing an autobiography? Because just this bit of it, I was already engaged and I'm like, I want to know more. And it's so, I think you have a beautiful way of storytelling. You have a beautiful way of telling stories and engaging, like, with your audience. So is that something that you thought about or would consider?
I've thought about it and I have considered it. The question has been posed to me before, but I don't know how to go about doing that without compromising the family. my family that I have.
It can be done.
People do it all the time.
I wrote my book, I wrote it from me,
Mm-hmm.
and I wrote it with respect of allowing everybody else to tell their own story.
Mm-hmm.
But I do get to share my experience, and so I just did it as respectful as I knew how to do, and still be honest and truthful.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because it's our stories to tell, right? I
Mhm.
think we have to honor that. But I can, understand that feeling of wanting to respect, right,
Mhm.
our family. But at the end of the day, we all have, the
Right.
right opinion to tell our story.
Right. That's still on the table. I'm just trying to, what does that look like? And do I want to take that, well, yes, for me, it's fine. But that means everybody else is going to have to kind of reach back
Yeah.
and deal with how all that had affected me and the kids and whatever at that time. So yeah, that's gonna, I have to think about that. But no, it probably will happen. I just need to figure out how that looks. That's all. Okay.
Hey, so I got here a little late also. So I don't know if you missed it, but I'm curious to know, can you talk a little bit about what your books are and what they are about and how you came from, to write the subject matter?
Okay. Well, A Hint of a Desire was written before I met Snow. And that was pretty much me just writing. Writing a romance book, writing a Black romance book. Just to see if I can do it. I was just getting it off, getting it out of me. And I'm like, ooh, this is kind of steamy. This is a little hot. I don't know if people are going to read this. My cousin's like, you crazy? And so that was really just me just writing. The story that her and I wrote is still needs to be finished. I don't know how to finish that because in a way I feel if I conclude it, it's almost concluding my time with my cousin. But I also feel like I have enough material through the years that I have written with her that I can pretty much most likely do a series. Actually a television series with it. Because we wrote it as if we are in the life and these people were given life. So whatever we went through, we added that, we put that in the story, which was Alex and Brian. Those were the two names. Funny, my boyfriend's named Brian with a Y. So it's like I have enough material, but what does that look like? How would I get that out there? It's something to work with.
And maybe use the writing to channel her, so that she's still present.
Right.
In the present moment.
Okay.
So all of your books are fictional stories?
All of them are fictional at this time. Fictional. With Snow, I have actual 8 books published right now. On Snow Publishing, they give us challenges. Now, my desire was to write one romance book and maybe write a series with the romance books because that's how I read my mom's. Growing up, I said, I don't want to write a romance book, but I'm going to write it with our people. So it's, I did it. But I really wanted to do like a romance fantasy type of thing. But my publisher being from New York, she's like, we ain't into that. We into street lit. And they wanted more street romance. I never grew up in the street. I was a military kid who was on stage since she was a little girl with her family, who was in a gospel group, and it's how do I do that? So that meant I had to do a whole lot of research because it's a challenge now. I wanted to stay in the publishing company. So she would give her authors challenges. And not only was the challenge of writing these titles that she gave us, but it was also, I had to do it in a month. So I was writing these short stories, putting out these short stories within a month. Until she's like, okay, you good enough. And now you can write what you want to write. So people ask me, what was your genre? It's hard to tell because well, it's not hard to tell. Then I was writing like with a musician. They go to a studio, they give you the music to sing, and this is what you're singing on your contract. That's the same thing with a publishing company. This is what we need you to write because this is what's selling at this time, and we don't want you to do anything else. So now I'm just starting writing what I wanted to start writing, which is Alma, Angenie, and Queen. This came from a dream. And I just took that dream and I expounded on that dream, which is a 5-book series. Now I got the first 4 is written, I'm working on the 5th. So now these are actually starting to get traction. And I actually got them in paperback form.
So they can be purchased?
Yes, yes, yes. So yeah, genre I really prefer to be fictional, of course, fantasy romance. A lot more, we don't see a lot of people of color in fantasy. And I enjoyed fantasy, but honestly, I just didn't want to see another blonde-haired, blue-eyed pixie elf. I needed something for us. So I kind of took a little bit of who my family was, because Leigh was part of the Iroquois Nation and Cherokee Nation was part of my family. So we try to get our family, and her great-grandmother told us a lot of stories, and we kind of started developing some of that. And then I had a dream, I added that into the book, and that's how that started to develop. Yeah. Yes?
Where can we find your books?
The books are here. The books will be here. Right now, The Hint of Desire is here. Alma, Angenie, and Queen is here. The 3rd book will be out at the end of this month. Hint of Desire 2 is written, and 3 is in development. But 2, I'm fighting with Amazon because they're trying to say I don't have rights to my book. So that's another story. So once I get that clear, 2 should have been here for this day, but unfortunately, I'm still in a fight with Amazon. Yes. Any other questions?
I have a question.
No.
Do you still tap into the performer and the actress part of yourself?
Yes, actually that didn't stop until COVID.
Okay.
COVID kind of put a halt in a lot of things because we were actually in the midst of doing a whole nother stage play. And then COVID hit and we stopped. And I tried to get back into it. I don't know what's wrong with me right now, but I was supposed to do an audition in October. I had a whole panic attack. I don't know why. I gotta figure that out. But maybe, I don't know. I don't know what that meant. So, but I do want to lean more towards developing the shows, because one portion that I did miss, when in 2014 I started working for the King Community Center in Harrisburg, PA, and that's a community center my aunt was CEO for, but she needed someone, a program director, to run the Girls Enrichment Program. And what that meant, we would take girls in the city who needed a little bit more nurturing, who needed more mentoring. So they weren't used to shows, music lessons, and dance. So when she brought me in, all that stuff I went through and I got taught and trained, and I was able to give that to the girls. So not only did they get sewing lessons, they got etiquette, dance, theater. I taught them how to write their own script. They were right at the end of the session. We always put on the show for the families. So I trained the girls to learn how to write. They will write their own scripts, and I will also teach them how to set the stage, work with the lighting, work the sound. They did everything. We just kind of guided them from the back. but they did everything. They sung, they danced, they choreographed, all that under the watchful eye, of course, me and my Aunt Jackie and whoever else was there. So, yeah. I've been doing that for a little bit, just in another way. Yes, any other questions?
I just had a comment. But I'm glad I came. I came because I heard you make a comment, I think in one of the circles we were in, that you were coming up as a speaker for Griots Ray, and you just said something like, her story is amazing. And I was like, I really don't know you other than coming in here and just seeing, you helping around. So I don't know, it just triggered my curiosity, so I'm glad I came. But that's not my comment. The comment is, you sound like, in between the lines, again, I don't know if you said this in the very beginning, that you have a serious story to tell about you. And that, I think, would be really intriguing and inspiring and motivational. I just feel it. And you are a great storyteller. You're just talking about your life. It's like, it's very engaging. It's like, oh, what next? What next?
Right, it is.
And not everyone is like that, because I'll start yawning in a minute, and so, yeah, you have a story to tell about who you are.
Thank you. You should see the head work I was going through before getting here, though. Yes.
Would you, like you said, you have a very interesting background. Would you ever put it in a fictional book?
I would say a little bit is scattered it through all of them. Yeah. So a little bit is already in there. Yeah. Yes.
Would you ever consider sharing parts of yourself, be it developmental, directorial, production-oriented, or just writing, singing, some element of yourself here with the community?
I'm open to that.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm over that. Yeah. Anything else? Anybody else? All right. So, thank you. I'm very grateful for all of you who came today. Thank you for coming. Thank you for hearing my story. I have my books here. They will be here now on display, but here to purchase. So I am grateful for that space as well. Thank you very much for the space to showcase my work, because I've been holding on to this thing. I said I was published in 2016, but I just didn't know how, if you understand what I mean. How did I get my people to read me, my story? I'm not the typical street lit person. I don't know how to write street. I know how to write what I feel, what comes out of my head, but are people interested in that? So I didn't know how. So I set the books up there, and I didn't say who I was, and Yyanna was just out of nowhere, just like, yeah, that's her book sitting right in front of her. She ain't doing nothing with it, ain't letting nobody know that's her. She just let them sit there. But you still, when you put yourself, it's like you're still putting yourself in your work, and you're like, people want to read it. Are they gonna like it? Maybe it's not that good.
No, we want to escape just like you were escaping.
And it doesn't have to be street for people to appreciate it. I'm similar to you. I don't grow up that way either. So, yeah.
Right. And I'm glad I'm hearing that, because I'm going in a direction that I feel comfortable in going, which will be more fantasy romance.
Yeah, and your audience and your people will find you.
Right.
Naturally.
For sure. There's a big audience. Look at, who is it? Octavia Butler.
Butler,
And what's that? Tenora Day. I don't know how you say her name. She does more vampire, but fantasy like. Anyway. She's fun.
Okay, I will start looking that up. So, yes. But yes, they're on display as That's the show. Of course, Hidden Desire 1. 2 is out. All of them are on Amazon. Every last one of the books. But most people want them in their hand. I want them in my hand too. So they are on Amazon. You can get them all on Amazon, and they're going to be here. And I also have done the work with my anxiety. I did this book, No Stress, Just Blessed. It is an adult coloring book, and it is here as well. And I just wanted to share that with everyone else. What helped me get through a lot of my anxiety, because it's doing a lot of coloring and focusing, and it helps me think a lot better. It helps calm the thoughts that's in my head and kind of center my.
That overture comes in and you hear it and you're like, okay, now it's time. Take one deep breath out.
And
You're such a natural. Like you are, like in front of us, I could tell you're a performer. Because it's so natural.
Thank you very
Behind the
much.
scenes.
Thank you.
You guys can keep your shoes on, because we haven't, yeah, for safety reasons.
Hi.
We're gonna get one of these little naps.
They had held back, and they could not be in the classroom for whatever reason. So they used to send the kids to me. I got that job from Capital Dinner Theater, so they just started sending me out to these different schools and different places. So of course, when you get in, the kids, they meet you for the first time, they ain't trying to say nothing to you. They don't want to say nothing to you. They don't even want to look at you. So the first thing I would do, normally they sit down in the chair, they got the hood over their head, they're looking down. I would sit right in front of them. They ain't look at me, no eye contact. I would go straight down to them like this.
Take care.
And usually, after a while, the eye contact will they would give you the eye contact. They may make a couple faces, and if they made a face to me, I'll make it right back. And then I would get a laugh. And that will loosen them up enough for me to take, Ricky, where you at? They pull them out. If they weren't willing to do an exercise, we do an exercise called mirroring. So we're in front of each other. Sometimes they say, oh, that's so dumb. Oh, this is so dumb. And I'll repeat what they say. They go, oh, dumb. Why are we doing this? And after a while, the other kids start joining in, and they want to do it. Ma'am, Miss Joy, me, let's do it. And that loosens them up to let me in enough to start working with them, and then we'll get a little deeper. Once we start, after maybe a couple of different sessions, we'll get a little deeper, and we'll sit down. Then, of course, when we first started, oh, Miss Joy, why are we going to do this? And I don't say nothing. I just look at them.
Oh, it's so annoying. Why won't maybe come here?
And this is another portion of the mirroring. I'll say something like, and you repeat after me. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm
and will go on till we get a reaction. And sometimes they will, maybe they'll cry, depends on whatever we're doing, or they're willing to open up and become a little bit more free and notice a different, and we did do like demographics, and we took notes to see how they were reacting in class after so many sessions, after school sessions with that. And that's how I use therapy in theater, in drama. And after that, I usually don't have many problems with the kids because I usually use theater games and drama to actually have them loosen up and just be a kid. Because sometimes they're not able to be kids, especially at home, because we don't know what's going on at home. We know sometimes both parents are working. The older child that may be the problem in the class, they're going home, they're feeding the kids, they still have homework, they got two younger kids they gotta deal with, or you never know what they're dealing with at home. So when I have them in an after school program or during the school, that's what I used to be that, I don't want to say therapist because I'm not really a therapist, but I safe space for the child, that they will open up. And I still have kids that are not biologically mine to this day. And they will remember me. When I come up to visit, I'll see them in the drive-through line, I see them on the street, Miss Joy! So it's like, it's just to get that emotion and change out of the child in the schools that may not have an outlet. That's what I felt very passionate about. So that's why I started working for the Girls Enrichment Program, especially with girls. When I grew up, I didn't have that outlet. I wish I had that, and I wanted to be that mentor, that woman, or that girl who just needed someone to talk to and be able to release or get out what they're holding on to. So I just use what I grew up with and what I was taught and the path that I took to help kids heal, pretty much.
Are you taking questions?
Yes.
So this one is like for your book. As I was saying, I have a children's book I've been working on. My biggest thing is I don't feel a lot of support when I post things under my name. Like you post on Facebook and social media, it's like they see it's yours. But if you post somebody else's stuff, it's like they're more likely to click on it. So I like the fact that you did your book under another name.
Yes.
So how do you go about doing that? Do I have to register with the name?
Well, you don't have to register for a pen name, not at all. How I got my name, of course, it always goes back to my cousin Leigh, is we, like you said, we never get support. I told my family that I'm writing, like, yeah, you're right. You don't get the support that you think you want to get from your family. So when you get tired of hearing, or getting the pat on the back, you're like, okay, I'm changing my name. And so my cousin, she gave me my name. She gave me my Yyanna, meaning flower, and Leigh, meaning healer, not knowing this is where I was going to be. So and Michael's was it's a funny thing. Because what sounds good with Yyanna Leigh? We went through a whole list of last names. We just did, Michaels, let's put it on there. So that's how I got Yyanna Leigh Michaels.
Okay.
So
And you don't have to do anything extra with the name.
No.
I can just pick a name.
Yep, just get your name and you use it as a pen name. Pen name, you don't have to register it. But I'm pretty sure I will register my name.
I was gonna say, what if there's another young Michaels out here?
There's not at this point, but I do plan on registering. But it will not affect, if there is another Yyanna Leigh Michaels or another name that you're looking for, it doesn't matter. It's like a name of a book. They can't copyright a name of a book. You could still use a name. Now, if it goes into like, let's say like scandal or things like that, you have to be very careful. You have to get your copyrights and stuff. But as far as holding claim to a name of a book or your name, no.
But what if that name is already copyrighted by somebody else? Is there like a database where you check to make sure? Because that's why people get their names copyrighted.
That is the reason why, yes, but we don't see very many of
Copyright
that.
gives you credit. but it doesn't protect it. Trademark protects it.
Trademark, that's what they.
But what if someone was to write a book, and I don't know if you know this or not, but I just thought, if someone was to write a book and claim that they're you?
That's
like,
what
how
I'm going
does
through
that-
right now.
Okay.
That's what I'm
okay.
going through at Amazon right now, saying I don't have the rights to my book, but I have my contract with the publisher. I have the dates of my manuscripts. I have all my manuscripts on my computer.
So you have to prove that you
Yes.
are who you say you are?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Is that a hard process? Because I plan on going to Amazon too, so I think that's something I'm probably.
Girl, go somewhere else.
No.
Amazon is a great start. You can definitely do ebooks.
That's what I heard was good.
Start with ebooks with Amazon, but if you want to do the booking, putting your book in an actual paperback or hardback, now they have changed their rules so much, and this is what I'm getting issues with right now. I'm going, as soon as I get them to release my books back to me, I'm going over to Ingram Spark. Yeah. But as far as names, like only people I know that really had troubles with names or actresses was Vanessa Williams and Vanessa B. Williams, and then you have Michael Jordan and Michael B. Jordan. That's when you're at that status. There is a copyright. You're gonna get your name copyrighted. But as a book writing, no, you shouldn't have much of a problem. It's a pen name. Any other questions?
But you do want to copyright your writing.
Right, yes,
book.
your book, yes, you do copyright your book.
Everything you create, you want to send to the Library of Congress.
Library of Congress.
So I don't know if you covered this already, like the process of writing your book, like, did you put yourself on a schedule, like, to complete the book? Was it like every
The way
day,
I,
how did you complete it? How did you discipline yourself enough to sit?
a lot of that was explaining how I went into writing and completing the book. It all had to do with how my cousin and I wrote. When we were younger, how we began writing is that she would tell a story, and I would finish the story, and she'd come back and start another story. And this first was verbally. And we used to do this at night, as a slumber party with kids, as we do, until we started writing it down, because I lived in another state. So she's put it in a little composition book, and she'll write her chapters, and then she'll give it to me. I write my chapters, and I give it to her. We did that for a while. We have done it so long that I have volumes and volumes of books that I still haven't actually put it out yet. It can actually be, like I told him, it could be actually put into like a series, a soap opera, or whatever, because it's that much material in it. But as discipline, I just kept doing it. I never put myself on a schedule, because it was more so of me releasing what I was going, trying to find another way, another outlet, so I won't become so depressed as I was until I finished the book.
What was your therapy?
That was my therapy. Yeah. Yeah. So that's how I completed my books. All of them is a therapy for me. Even the ones I'm doing now is a form of escapism and therapy. But not so much anymore, because now I'm able to, with everything that's happening now in my life, I'm able to release a lot of that and not have to always depend on just me writing my feelings out in a journal or in a book. I'm able to heal outside of that as well. So yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Was that with the Kindred Healing Center?
Yes, that was at the Kindred Healing Center.
So being in this environment, the tools that you acquired and the support has helped you be able to, like you said, you now have other tools. in your
Yes, I have
toolbox.
other tools now. Before it was just the writing. And even during COVID, that was a little bit difficult too, because I think with COVID, everything just came crashing down. Because right before COVID hit, I lost my cousin. She died December 28th, 2019. And I went in with her when she told me she had cancer and she asked me to move in with her. We went in like, we're gonna beat this. We got this. And she didn't tell me that they gave her 6 months. So I moved in with her thinking we're gonna beat this thing. I go to her December appointment after moving in with her in September. December appointment, and they told her it had spread and that they wanted her to do all these kind of things and put in the hospital. Within 1 week, she completely declined. She had a birthday December 26th, and then she died the day after. And I hadn't recovered from that because I still was trying to recover from her husband dying the year before on Valentine's Day. And after that, she left. So COVID was rough. And then coming here, I actually started, I had to pick the pen back up because I hadn't been writing. I didn't want to because she wasn't here no more.
Yes. Beautiful story.
Because when they were trained, it wasn't trained. So I always tell them, you know, so I go to them,
We have some tea over there, it's full of niblets. Maybe today, I feel like.
as soon as you tell me, oh, I know somebody
You're definitely right, she's like, she's
if you get a good one that understands.
We're right in between.
But my main What's your name? J.O.R. Nice. Adrian. Check it out.